Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing a 5 palettes I want but don't pull the trigger on. These are older palettes that have launched and I've had my eye on and I still think about them, but I haven't picked them up. So I definitely want to share with you guys those 5 palettes. But first, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I do upload 3 times a week, Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So definitely subscribe so you don't miss out. And let's just go ahead and I was just kind of thinking, I'm like, what kind of videos should I film? And I was like, ooh, why don't you do a 5 palettes you want but you haven't pulled the trigger on, like you haven't bought them for one reason or another. Just noticed I left these makeup wipes open and those are probably dried out now. Great. So the first palette I have to share with you guys, I keep eyeing and I might just pull the trigger on this one before I post this video, but it's the Colourpop So Jaded palette. So when I saw the packaging, when Kathleen Lights revealed the palette, I was like, wow, that's so pretty. And then when she showed the inside, she showed all these beautiful colors, but they were just so randomly placed. And I'm one to kind of create like more monochromatic looks than just like random, oh, let me do blue here or green here and purple in the lower lash line and this and that. Like, it's hard for me to create a look using just random shades. Like, most of the time I have a monochromatic eye look. So I don't know, I think that's the reason why it turned me off, just because I feel like the color placement is just random. And I do get like that when some palettes are randomly placed. I'm just like, too much is going on. Like today I'm wearing the Carnival 3 palette and that one has like all the purples, all the browns, the greens, the blues together, which is awesome because it kind of like helped me do like an orangey red look, you know what I mean? Like kind of the same color story. But when colors are randomly placed in a palette, I kind of get like overwhelmed. So I really still want that palette. And Becca Lynn Beauty, I watched your eyeshadow palette declutter. I'll link her channel down below so you guys can go ahead and check her out. And I actually screenshotted your So Jaded palette and I'll put a picture up on the screen as well. I'm tempted to buy this So Jaded palette just to do my palette like hers. I'm not one to take stuff out of the original packaging or like rearrange stuff, but I just kind of want that palette and I kind of like her color story better than the original color story. So next up, the next palette I've been eyeing and I hear super good things about, and I'm always like, I'm gonna pick it up, and then I put it in my cart, I take it out, put it back. It just never goes through checkout. So it's the Maybelline Nudes of New York eyeshadow palette. I've heard super good things about it. I'm not one to really buy drugstore palettes just because I feel like the pigmentation isn't all there, but this one I've heard super good things about. And lately I've been gravitating towards like neutral shades instead of like colorful palettes, because I have so many colorful palettes with random browns in the palettes, but I don't really buy just like a neutral everyday kind of palette. And lately I have been, so maybe I'll pull the trigger on this one soon, or maybe once it's like a buy one get one 50% off. I've heard the formula is super nice and everybody that has picked it up has raved about the formula and how great this palette is. So I might pick it up, but that is a palette that I have my eye on but haven't yet purchased. Next up is the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. This one's super nice. I'm loving the color story, like all the oranges and all the greens in the palette. I think it's super pretty, but the price tag is kind of like, I guess I can't really say price tag. I bought the bigger Pat McGrath palettes. I don't know, it's just like, I love the color story, but I have yet to pick it up. Maybe I'll ask Santa for it for Christmas, but I don't know. It's just another palette that every time I look at it, I think, oh, it's like really pretty, I should buy it, but I just don't. I definitely want to pick it up during like a sale. I don't really want to spend the full amount, buy full price, you know? I want to get some kind of deal on it. So we'll hold off on that one for now, but definitely still have my eye on. The next palette is the ABH Volume 4 palette. I have Volume 1 and Volume 3. I love those palettes. They are pressed pigment palettes. They're super pigmented. There is some kickback. I don't mind that kickback from that formula. I do mind the kickback in the regular like rectangular ABH palettes. I don't know why. It might be just the look that I'm creating, because when I use a fluffy brush on the ABH shadows, the matte shades, when I apply it for my crease, there's so much kickback in the pan, and I like to use my kickback and not just like blow it off the palette. So I feel like when I'm using the volume palettes is to create a more dramatic look like I'm wearing today. So that's probably why, because I'm not really swirling my brush in there. I'm more like pushing the product to pack it onto my brush to apply it. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't mind that there's kickback in the pressed palettes, but I do mind the kickback in the rectangulars, which makes no sense. But that's another palette I've been eyeing as well, and I would love to have, but I don't know. It's just, I like it, but I just haven't bought it. So this palette is more like cool tone. It does have some pops of pinks and purples in here. I think it's actually a really beautiful palette, and I still want it. But again, another palette that I would probably try to get during like a sale. And I would have actually picked this up if it was actually at Ulta with my points. I don't know. It's just that it never went to Ulta, so I didn't ever get it. I did get volume 1 with my Ulta points, and volume 3 I picked up through Poshmark, like half off or something. So I might just buy this later on, maybe during a sale. I know sometimes they had those volume palettes, weren't they like 50% off at one point after everybody had already picked them up at full price? That was not cool. But yeah, that volume 4 palette's really, really pretty. Last palette, and is actually a neutral everyday kind of palette as well, is actually the Too Faced Born This Way palette. Is that what it's called? Born This Way? Born This Way, the Natural Nudes. This one reminds me of the Maybelline one as well, just more of the higher end version. I have heard super good things about it. The shimmer shades in here I heard are super, super nice as well. But at that, when it first came out, I just wasn't really into, again, like natural everyday colors. I use a lot of burgundies for everyday use, like in my crease, and like a really dark brown for my lash line. But again, my likes are kind of changing. I did pick up the A Flutter palette, which is more of like the mauve tones, and then I did pick up the Kylie, the Sort of Sweet palette, because it was on sale, and that one's more like a natural everyday kind of shades as well. So I am kind of going towards the natural eyeshadow palettes lately. I did recently buy a colorful palette, which was the Carnival 3, but I have a lot of colorful palettes, which how many more like rainbow shadows do I actually need? I feel like my collection is probably lacking more of the natural shades, but this one is another one that I have put in my cart and have taken out just because I was like, no, you don't really need it. But all these palettes that I mentioned in today's video is definitely one that I'm still eyeing and I may pick up in the future, but those are the 5 palettes right now that I've been eyeing since they came out. They've gone in my cart or just been in my loves list on Sephora or Ulta. And yeah, I just wanted to share those 5 palettes with you guys. Let me know what 2-3 palettes you're eyeing that since they came out and you haven't picked up. I'd love to know. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please also subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.